Long flights and extended time in crews give great opportunities to reflect. During my last flight as a member of the Fox River Flying Club, the quiet radios gave me a chance to ponder my time as a member. I thought of the goals I had accomplished, the places I had been, and the people that I had met. In the 16 months that I was a member of the Fox River Flying Club, I had flown 68 flights, totaling over 130 hours. I had earned my instrument rating in Skyhawk 124 Echo Echo and my high performance endorsement in Cherokee 15601. I flew solo in the clouds for the first time and took countless flights across southeastern Wisconsin and beyond. But the more I thought about my flying, the more I realized that it was the people that made it memorable. I created memories with family and friends that I'll remember for a lifetime. The club provided a platform where my whole family could fly together, something we hadn't been able to do before. Together, my whole family joined me as I celebrated my 100th hour of flight, and my wife joined me as I reached 200 hours. I flew my dad to lunch in Oshkosh, and I remember how proud he was to see his son piloting an airplane. I took family friends' kids on their first airplane rides over their house and their school, and I remember how excited they were to tell their friends about it the next day. While I was working on my instrument rating, I experienced a bird strike with my friend AJ as my safety pilot, a story I later recounted on Rob Ryder's podcast. I learned about flying from that. I flew my first IFR flight after dinner with Ed from the Flying Stampede, and I helped transport rescue dogs to a shelter with Alyssa, who I had met through the midlife pilot community. When I joined the flying club, I knew I would be flying well-equipped planes at an affordable price. What I hadn't expected, however, was some of the friendships I would develop along the way and the opportunities it would present. I flew the most with John, who sparked my journey to begin my commercial training, suffered through my first attempts at landing from the right seat, convinced me to do my first solo grass runway takeoff and landings when he brought me to Palmyra, and guided me through my first instrument approach in actual instrument conditions, which led me to my first encounter with airframe icing. John introduced me to his friend and coworker, Ed, who let me take the controls on a Cessna Cutlass, which was my first time flying a retractable gear airplane. In that same week, I flew with Ernie, who invited me on my first time flying in a Cirrus. I became friends with Jeff, who flew with me as a safety pilot for practice approaches, invited me on a tour of the Milwaukee Control Tower and approach facility, and introduced me to RH and AG from the podcast Opposing Bases. I became a hangar bum at the Waukesha Airport and became friends with Sarah from the front office. She introduced me to her friend Ryan, who brought me along for breakfast in his RV-10, my first time in an experimental airplane. My YouTube channel got its start while I was flying the club planes. It was those videos and accompanying posts on Facebook and Instagram that led me to meet many other great people in the aviation community through social media. The Badger Pilot brand began to stand out, and I was recognized by some of my favorite Midwest content creators like Martin Pauly, Rich Wellner, and Ryan Dombrowski from Super Aero Live. My logo was even featured in 2 videos by Brian Turner from Just Plain Silly. But just as meaningful to me were the local pilots who happened to find my videos and were following my journey. People like Ron from a local avionics shop and an air traffic controller named Kino. Some people actually sought me out to spend time with them at AirVenture, including Dustin, who plane spotted with me on the flight line, and Mike, who invited me to hang out with him at his campsite at Camp Scholler. But the most lasting of these opportunities was joining the crew at the Flying Midwest podcast. Jim reached out to me and asked if I wanted to join as a third co-host, and I've been podcasting with them ever since. These are just a few of the amazing highlights I experienced and the people that I met while I was a member of the Fox River Flying Club. There were many more, in fact, too many to mention, but they were all on my mind during this last flight.
15601 contact, Milwaukee approach 127, point 2737.
Walking on 2737, Cherokee 15631, good day.